All right, everyone, it's LP back for another video. Here, what we're looking at here is Rich Johnson of Bleeding Cool covering, of course, the sensei, Mr. Ben Dunn. Though his name is not in the title, and it should be, Rich Johnson has been watching Mr. Dunn's Facebook for any little bits and timbits. That's a Canadian reference for you Tim Hortons fans out there. For anything he can get his hands on in regards to the Diamond situation and small publishers. It is true. Diamond has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and it has turned the comic book world on its head. We have small press publishers scrambling now to find a new home. We have Image Comics leaving Diamond Distribution International, which means my comic book shop is now having a hard time getting Image Comics. And they're not the only ones. Lots of other companies have either declared that they are on their own or looking for new distribution. The rats are fleeing the ship. The ship is possibly sinking. And I say possibly because until the fat lady sings, and she hasn't sung yet, it is not over until it's over. But let's see what Rich Johnson has to say. Let's see what the sensei has been saying. And we'll get it all right here, right meow. So Diamond Diamond Comics Distributors, I should say, does one extraordinary thing. Does it? It gives small press comic book publishers the opportunity to gain national, indeed worldwide distribution for free. I don't know if it's free, across the direct market. And here's the thing. Most of us growing up in the 80s and 90s, whoever had a dream of making comics, this was the dream. To have exactly what they said here, to give a small press comic book the opportunity to gain national, worldwide distribution, to be seen outside of your local zone, outside of your local con, right? Sure, you can make a comic book and do your local scene, sell it at your local shop, but we're talking about outside of your city. Jay Uso in your city, right? They go on to say, and what money Diamond took was a small fraction. Well, actually, what Diamond took was 60%. Given processing costs on the smallest titles, they probably took a loss. Well, there's probably no doubt about that. The qualifications were low on a commercial nature. I mean, they even distributed my own black and white small press comic back in the early 90s, which raised enough money for me to fly from London to San Diego Comic-Con several times. Well, it ain't the 90s anymore, Rich Johnson. I'll tell you that. Looking back now, especially what I was then, it was, well, extraordinary. Yeah, now it's Tuesday. Even then, when there were several distributors, I was initially going through Diamond, brought in the biggest buck, even though they bought up all their rivals. Man, don't we love walking down memory lane? Because it's not about what you did yesterday. It's about what you're doing now. So what's going on now? Well, now Diamond has declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The big publishers had already left, taking advantage of the lockdown, making their exclusive contracts with Diamond nil and void. That's right. Since Diamond stopped shipping, as agreed, this gave Marvel and DC and others a way out. And guess what? They took it. They took it in spades. A rather cutthroat and mercenary decision, but was bound to happen, man. After the train started rolling down the hill. Well, got that train rolling down the hill. So what remains? Well, not much, man. Skulls and bones, that's what remains. Well, Lunar Distribution has a lot on its plate. The survivors of the DC distribution war, they had initially stepped up to distribute Marvel Comics at one point, but Image Comics has taken up much of their resources. They have a number of small publishers who choose not to be Diamond exclusive, but taking on more of a right now approach seems to be a no-no. So they're not really looking for any more small publishers. While Penguin Random House has Marvel, Dark Horse, and IDW, and soon they will have Boom Studios. Actually, we saw an interview with the Boom Studio CEO over on Brian McClay's show Beyond Wednesdays. So everyone go check that out. Their interest in taking on small publishers seems, um, well, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Let's put it that way. Dynamite may be considered, but no one's smaller. And Dynamite's not all that small. They've been in business for like a couple of decades now. Publishers will likely stick with Diamond, but that would be throwing good money after bad? Question mark. As it stands, they're owed an old stock. Full bankruptcy may deprive them of either or provide pennies on the dollar. Well, I mean, that's kind of what we get now, right? So don't really see, I don't know. I don't really see how this is going to work out. I hope it works out. Will they risk greater exposure by allowing Diamond to distribute more of their comics? Well, look, right now, if Diamond does go under, and it's a big if, we're not there yet, but if they do, worst case Ontario, then we are, as my YouTube title says, we are publishers. We are without a home. While we know what is going to happen, right? Most of these small publishers, if they haven't already, will set up their own sites. Antarctic has its own site. It could be better, but they at least have it. And these small publishers will go to crowdfunding. Kickstarter is going to see a huge influx this year. It's just the way it's going to be. Kickstarter is going to become one of the most competitive spaces for buying independent and small press comic books that you've ever seen come 2025 as the year rolls on and well into 2026, unless there is another option that presents itself. That remains to be seen. So, this also comes at a time when shipping costs have increased and made crowdfunding comics less prevalent. Printing costs have made publishing harder, and increased warehouse costs are also pressing people who just want to make comics. We'll stop it right there because they're going to talk about Mr. Ben Dunn here in a second. But Rich Johnson is not wrong. Shipping does cost a lot of money. And I'm not just talking about like you're in the States and it's costing you $5. I mean, that'd be cheap for me. I mean, when I send a package to the States, it's one comic and one Gemini. Because I have a small business account, I get to do it for half price. Normally, it'd be $24 for me to send a package to the States. I get to do it for $12. But that is one comic. The minute I put a second or third comic in there, that jumps up to $16, you know? And if I put more, then we're looking at 20 plus, right? So that's sort of the scale. So yes, shipping is expensive. Printing is expensive. Printers have all raised their costs. We all know that. And the fact of the matter is that people are used to buying their comics on a monthly basis for $4.99. And even then, people have been saying and still say that $4.99 is just way too much for this quote-unquote disposable entertainment. Comic books have become more of a collectible now. I've been saying that for years, John, years. But the fact that they're collectible means only certain aspects of it are collectible. And the normal runs and stuff, like issue 5 of X title, is probably not going to be worth any more than cover price, and therefore not really collectible. Therefore, not really wanted. You know? When comic books do sell, they sell well, though. And when they don't, it hurts. It hurts the industry, right? Like, you know, if we're looking at Ghost Machine or the Energon universe or The Last Ronin, you know, Absolute Batman, Ultimate Spider-Man, successes like that, they're awesome. But we need the whole board to be successes like that. Anyway, let's go on to see what they say about the sensei, Mr. Ben Dunn, since he is in the thumbnail. Ben Dunn of Antarctic Press writes on social media, and I will save you the bad Ben Dunn voice impression. With the bankruptcy Diamond Comics distribution, what exactly does this mean for comic stores? Well, for now, it's business as usual. Comic stores will continue to get their comics, but this portends in a shift in buying. Many comic stores are making a shift to being pop culture stores, mostly selling toys, merchandise, cards, etc. Look, I think all comic book stores should be doing that, okay? My comic book store, and we call it a comic book store just in really in name only. I mean, they do have a great selection of comics, both new and old, but they're not dumb, right? They sell the Funkos. They sell D&D. They sell statues. They sell manga. They sell like Marvel Legends toys and everything else. They sell Magic cards, Pokemon, and Warhammer 40K. Anything that's geeky, collectible, you know, chances are you're gonna be able to find that at my shop, including your comics. I think all shops need to be doing that. If you are just like the stereotypical hole in the wall, all you're selling is comic books, yeah, you're probably fucked. you know, it's just the way it is. Despite what you may personally think of Diamond, it was the, and I quote, only in capital letters, distributor of small press comics. And he's right. If they go, where will these publishers and creators go now? Imagine a world, he says, with no Bone, no Usagi Yojimbo or TMNT, or no Ninja High School. Well, that would be a shame. If the direct market had not arisen, then chances are none of these small press comics have gotten in the stores and found an audience. Yes, Diamond has made some mistakes, and hopefully they will learn from them. Or maybe it's maybe too little, too late. We shall see. Apparently, both Lunar and Penguin have shown little interest in Antarctic Press, but not for a lack of trying. We have attempted to contact them on many occasions, but to no avail. We are essentially on our own, and I'm sure many other small publishers are. Will we survive? Yes, AP will survive, but it may be changed. Now, this is the big thing, right? What do we mean by change? Change as in how? Change as in we find a different distributor? Change as in we're no longer in comic book shops? When we say change, it's easy to say things are going to change. But I would like to know, what changes are we looking at? Give me a list. Tell me what the options are. Our method of distribution will change. Okay, again, in what way? Our production line and editorial content will change. Lots of changes here, but no one's telling us what the changes are. What the change will be remains to be seen. But I believe we will know in a few months where we will be. Will someone pick up the baton? I'm going to answer no. Perhaps will retailers care? No. The thing is, if comic book stores disappear or stop carrying small press comics, the indie small press publisher will have a greatly diminished presence to the public. 100%. This is the death of small press comic books in the direct market. 100%. If this actually happens, if worst case Ontario happens, and again, I hope it don't. I got a lot of eggs in that basket. But you know what? Not all the eggs are in that basket. I got eggs in the Kickstarter basket. And as long as we have that, we will be able to get out comics. Will it be as widely distributed? No. But hopefully what we have out there will circulate enough to bring Nyobi fans or any other fans for small press comics to that comic book publisher's Kickstarter. That's where it's all going, right? I've been doing this now going on 11 years, John. Years on Kickstarter. 5 of those years have been with AP. So it's been a good run. But if the run is over, if we no longer have a home in shops, I will do my best to be one of the most dominating forces of comic books on Kickstarter that you have ever seen. Let's go on with the article. Will it be the end? Well, not really, as we have various new ways to make money. Which ways are that outside of Kickstarter? That's what I want to know. But our reach will no longer be as influential. No real change for a small indie to break out and build an audience. Right now, the industry is relying on nostalgia. Man, truer words have never been spoken. Most people look at modern comic books as a few things, as not decent enough to read, too expensive, and not very collectible. That's sort of the problem. Plus, you have manga. I was going to say on the rise, but it's not even on the rise. It's the domination of manga right now that has stopped new readers from coming over to us. They get more bang for their buck. They know where to start. They know where it ends. All their friends are into it. It's cool and hip to them. And comic books, quite frankly, to the average 16-year-old, is something that their dad or grandpa has stuff up in their attic. The floppy format to them is too skinny, it's too long, like as in height wise, it looks off and old to them, just like an 8-track would to us. Let's continue on. There will be success here and there, but not nearly as much as it could be. I lament, that's what Ben says, how the comic industry has self-destructed, how I have long advocated to rethink the distribution model, but it fell on deaf ears, with many saying that it is outdated or impossible to implement. Well, here we are looking into the abyss. We have just taken a moment to look into the future instead of lining our own pockets or indulging in personal drama. We might have a healthy, thriving industry. Well, look, you can't blame all this on the actions of Diamond, though a lot of it could be shared by Diamond. The problem is, for the last decade, comic books, the stories within them, sometimes the art, sometimes both, have been horrible. On top of that, the pricing has cost too much. On top of that, we now live in an online world, which means people are so lazy now that they don't want to jump in their car for a 10 to 15 minute drive, go to the comic book shop, snoop around, pick up some things off the shelf, deal with other people, because that is too much work for them. What kind of fucking lazy bums are we? I mean, I know a close family member that has their groceries delivered to their door. And I'm like, when the fuck do you ever go outside, and deal with the real people, right? People are like, I got anxiety, so I don't want to see people. It's like the whole world seems to be like that now. Shake that off. Okay, shake that off. We need people to go out to brick and mortar stores to buy physical product in order to keep this industry alive. And if you're not interested in doing that, if you're only interested in buying old comics for the best deals possible without going to the LCS, then yes, we might as well close up all those shops because no one cares. If that is the case we're looking at. Now, Ben Dunn continues to say, now, we are looking to one that will soon disappear. I don't wish this to end on a down note. I love comics, he says. I always have, always will. I love the creators who make them. I love the fans and readers who support us. We need to work together to revitalize the industry. And the best way to do that is to give people a reason to read comics. Give people what they want. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Well, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. And they will beat a path to your door. Well, I hope that's true. But if I'm going to look at worst case Ontario, and here's how I operate. Here's how my feeble little South Park mind operates is like this. I hope for the best, but I don't expect it. I hope for the best, but I am always ready for the worst case Ontario. And worst case Ontario says Diamond, goes out of business. Lunar and Penguin don't pick us up. All right. Well, that means we are left without a home. Kickstarter, which has been our home for 11 years, will remain intact. We will not be distributed on shelves. Hopefully, we get Outbreak 4 and 5 out before the ship does sink. And that will be our presence in the direct market. You will have access to Origins, Outbreak 1 to 5, and Birthright 1 to 2 in the one shot that we put out through AP. And that will be it. That will be our legacy in shops, at least for the time being. But you'll be able to continue the adventures of Nyobi with Kickstarter coming directly to me. That's right. You'll have access to the newest work as fast as we can get it to you, with the best variant covers that we can offer to you, and still keeping that same great Nyobi flair and style. So nothing will change in that regard. It is a shame that our whole direct market prospects are in jeopardy. But they are, right? We know we can't change the fact that Diamond has filed for Chapter 11. We do all know that that's not Chapter 7, so we do know it's not the end. That they're trying to rebuild. But if enough people jump ship, and they've been jumping ship already, like some publishers aren't even giving Diamond the chance to rebuild. They're just like, no, fuck it, we're out. So I'm going to pretend that is the case that we're in, okay? I'm preparing for worst case Ontario. So let's see how they end this. Diamond was very effective, but only at scale, and a scale dwarfed by Penguin Random House. There are moves I hear from small publishers and small press distributors to set up if Diamond indeed does go away. I heard UCS, who lost DC distribution war formed by Midtown Comics, may be revived just for this purpose. However, the changes are that it will be less financially beneficial for publishers and creators. How does that song go? You know what you want until you don't know what you want until it's gone. Maybe they'll put up a parking lot in Baltimore. Ha ha ha, Rich Johnson, you're really funny. Look, we do know what we want, and it's not gone, at least not yet. And the only reason why we want it is because it is our only choice to be in stores. There is no other publisher, or I should say distributor, that is willing to pick up some of these small press companies. So what do? Let's say you're in my position. Let's say that you're with a company that may not have a future in the direct market, but you still want to be in the direct market. Well, you can try and contact Lunar and Penguin on your own, and we'll be told no. You can forego that dream. You could do the Sam Quinton model and call every single shop and try and make a personal business deal with them to get your books out there. Or if you own your own IP like I do, you can start submitting to different publishers that have a presence still with Lunar and Penguin, right? And there isn't many that you can go to. But of course, the big one will always be Image Comics. Now, I'm not saying that's what I'm doing. I'm not saying I'm not going to submit. I have submitted to Image. 10 years ago, actually, I submitted to Image Comics. Will I do it again? I don't know. I mean, if that's my only hope of being in shops, I may have to look at that. Right now, I wear my AP badge with honor. And I will go down with the ship. But if the ship does go down, eventually I'll have to jump in that life raft and find a new ship to board. You know? But we're not there yet. And hopefully we never will be. You know, I'm kind of like Todd McFarlane. He wants that Image eye on his comic books forever. I, too, would like to have the AP logo on my comic books forever. But we have to be in shops to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to help save the comic book industry, you need to be going to the shops. You need to be buying new comic books. Because if you're only interested in the collectibles, if you're only interested in the old keys, if you're only interested in what you're already familiar with and what you can sell, then this hobby truly is done. I'm LP, and stick around for a word from our sponsor. Well, if you haven't guessed it, today's sponsor is me. That's right, I am today's sponsor of the video. As always, we want to talk to you about Nyobi. This time, not about the eBay store, but our upcoming Kickstarter. That's right, on February 14th. That is the day we're looking at launching. We plan to launch the fourth part of the Outbreak series, Nyobi Outbreak number 4 of 5. This thing is almost a wrap. Guys, come join us for the journey as old faces and new collide in a world that is bent on supremacy. Genome supremacy, to be in fact. And if you do come over and back our Kickstarter, the one promise I can make to you is we definitely deliver. There would be no 4-year waits for our books, okay, guys? We generally hit our estimated delivery time when we say we're going to hit it. And we always keep people in the loop. You won't be ghosted. You won't be ignored. And you'll get some great books in the process. You know, the testimonials speak the truth. I speak the truth. Nyobi speaks the truth. Come by February 14th for Nyobi Outbreak number 4. And if you do hit our eBay store, that wouldn't hurt either. Peace.